This is a step-by-step guide on how to cut a one-length haircut. It's part of our foundational haircutting series brought to you by Salon Ownership Made Easy.
Be strong.
Today's video we'll be doing a one-length haircut. The very first thing you want to do is start with your 4 sections and then go from the O-bone to just behind the ear and section that off on both sides. One thing you do want to make sure is that both your partings are even, at least well balanced. If you are struggling parting the hair, please make sure you go and watch our video on how to part the hair easily. When you first start this haircut, you want to make sure your client has their head tilted down. That gives you a straight line to cut your straight line. You want to get that neck curvature out of the way. One important point I want to make sure that you get is the angle of your comb. You want to make sure your comb is parallel to the floor at all times. You do want to make sure that you wet the hair and it's saturated. Start out in the middle. You're going to bring down an inch section straight down from the head. Now watch here when I demonstrate how to hold your comb. See, my comb is parallel to the floor and the spine of the comb is directly in front of my eyes. You do not want to stand above where you're cutting the hair, because if you do, it'll make the hair flip up and you won't get a straight line. Make sure you're standing right behind your client and you want to plant your feet and do not change your position. Bring the hair back to you. Again, my comb is parallel to the floor and so are my shears. And I'm cutting. Try to cut only to that first knuckle. I've cut a little bit past that first knuckle. When you do that, you run the risk of cutting yourself. And you also lose the tension. Here I put a white towel behind the hair to give you a better idea of how this is. You could see this. Again, you want to parallel to the floor. See, my comb is parallel to the floor. My eyes are parallel to my comb. Everything, if you are standing above your comb, you cannot see your line of your hair. So bend your knees, get down, eye level with your comb. See, if you hold it up like that, you will be making it so the hair flips up. Again, parallel to the floor. And you can see where on my left side it's a little bit longer. I think we all have a long side that we cut, or we tend to cut. But when you hold your comb parallel to the floor, you will see this right away. And just make sure that it is straight across before you move to your next section. And before you move to your next section, you want to make sure it's balanced. Here I'm pulling the same hair from either side and I'm holding it in the middle. You want to line that up with that center part. That's where you want to see. And you want to make sure those 2 sections that you're holding are even. If they're not, you want to go back and cut that before you move forward. You're going to take down your next section. Again, just take down, depends on the density of the hair, but just take down about an inch, inch and a half of hair. You want to be able to see your guide underneath your hair that you take down. If you need to work in smaller sections, then do so. Again, make sure your hair is saturated. And you're going to be, again, standing behind your guest, feet planted. You're going to bend those knees and you're going to get down even with your comb. You want to see what you're cutting. You're going to bend those knees and get parallel with that comb. Again, see the parallel with the comb? That way you can see that straight line and you cannot go wrong. If you are parallel to the floor, if the spine of that comb is parallel to the floor, you will have a straight line. That is the secret. This mannequin doll head has been through a lot, so it's not even at all. So she's going to have more hair on one side to cut than the other side. And hey, that might happen to you in real life as well. You never know. You might have to fix somebody's bad haircut. Again, before you move forward, you always want to check and double check your sectioning. Now we're going to go to the round of the head. And when you do this, your client now can face forward because you are halfway up the head and you don't have that curvature of the head to work with. So now she can look forward and you're going to take down the next section. And again, if you need to spray with a spray bottle, do so. You can also use a conditioning spray if you want to cut with something like that. Here I'm just using water. Again, start in the middle, parallel to the floor. You're going to get sick of me here. You're going to get sick of hearing that from me. Parallel to the floor, and then that way you can see your straight line. See that? Just those little tiny bits. Parallel to the floor. Hold that comb. See the spine of the comb? Line it up with your fingers. Like I said before, we all have one side that we tend to cut longer than the other. That's when your cross-checking will come in handy. This little doll head, she's been through some things. If I would have known that, I would have probably cut her a little bit shorter, but she's got a little hole, if you will. You'll see that in just a little bit. But that's okay. Sometimes you have that, and if you don't need to cut it, then don't cut it. You're going to have clients like that too, that maybe they don't want their hair any shorter and it's going to leave them a hole. Then tell them. Here I'm taking the whole back section, we're bringing it down, and we're cutting. And here's where you can see that little bit of hole on that side. Also, this really comes in handy to hold your comb parallel to the floor. You can see where I go a little bit long on that side. Cut a little bit off. And if you're not quite sure, just wait until you get to the front and you can double check. Here I'm finding the round of the head, and which is the parietal ridge, parting it, and I'm going to be holding that straight down. Now, mannequin dolls, they don't have shoulders. Humans do. So you could do one or two things. You can either turn their head to the side and cut it that way, which I don't show in this video. Really, if you just hold it straight down, maybe have them bend their head just a little bit, you'll be able to get a straight line, I guarantee it. And you're just going to connect the dots, holding your comb parallel to the floor. See that? You can really see it there. Fingers parallel, scissors are parallel. I'm not bending anything up. I'm not making the hair come to me. I'm going to the hair. My eyeballs are parallel to that section. And again, if you don't have anything to cut, don't cut anything. You don't always have to cut hair. Now we're going to go to the other side. Again, you can't see this, but it is the round of the head or the parietal ridge down. Bring that down. And here you're going to really see that hole on that side of the head. And I know I'm questioning myself whether to cut it, where to cut it, but I'm going to cut it where that guide is, but I'm going to come back and probably correct it. But I'd rather leave it a little bit long, and this is advice to you too. If in doubt, leave it a little bit long, and then when you go to double check it, you can always cut off a little bit more. It's really, really hard to add that hair back on. But see how there's a hole right there? That's from teaching another video. I use this doll for thinning or something with thinning shears, and we just have a hole in there. And again, that's going to happen in real life. People have all kinds of things happen to their hair, right? So just keep that in mind. Here I'm checking it. I'm lining it up with her nose. Okay, I'm just grabbing hair from the same area and making sure it's the same length. And I could tell from this side that it was a little bit longer, and I knew it was going to be. So like I said, I would rather it be too long so I can come back and cut a little bit more off. That's your safety net. There is nothing wrong with that. It's better safe to double check it, like we did with the cross-checking, than it is to just keep cutting it shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. You don't want that. So there you go. There's your one length haircut.